Everybody, it's Maya back again on the channel, and as you guys can tell by the title, I'll be doing my high school experience story time. So I'm just gonna take you guys through each year. Grab some popcorn. I also will be doing my makeup. I wanted to add something a little bit more spicy to it, so that's why my mirror is right here. If you guys see me constantly looking down, I just wrote a whole bunch of notes to help, what's the phrase? Jot my memory. I started freshman year in 2011. I know it looks like I was born in 2011, but no. This was my first public school, so I was super duper nervous. And I know some people in the comments are gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's so dumb. But honestly, my perception of public school was very stereotypical. I seriously was like, this is gonna be like Freedom Riders. Fighting, gangs, drugs, metal detectors. My little sheltered mind was like, oh my god, public school is gonna be so awful. I don't want to go to this. It was my first time ever having to ride the school bus. I hated riding the school bus. And honestly, looking back on it, riding the school bus really does build friendships, confidence, because you're talking to people all the time. It builds character. The school bus was really lit. Even with all the strict rules that we had, we couldn't have headphones. I live in Louisiana, so it would be like really muggy and hot and humid, and we could not wear a hoodie or a cap or tie our hair up to keep it from frizzing. This was the first time that me and I were not going to be in the same classes. The way our school is set up, there's two different sides of the schools, and the freshman side has 3 floors. I was going to be on the 3rd floor, and Mia was going to be on the 2nd floor. Not even just different classes, we were going to be on 2 totally different floors. The 1st floor was the honors floor, but transitioning from private school to public school, there was no way that they were able to tell that we were honors students, so we had to go through the first year to kind of test us out. So we went in the regular non-honors classes. I remember flying through school, flying through the classes, flying through the tests. My teacher would literally be like, only one person got an A in the class, and everyone in the class would be like, it doesn't matter if you don't say their name, we already know it was Maya. For example, the kids there didn't even know how to divide fractions without using a calculator, and that's something that I learned in 6th, 7th grade, because at my private school we weren't allowed to use calculators. I had to learn how to do everything without a calculator. So that's just one example of like how far behind these other students were from me. Even my teacher, she called my mom, and she was basically like, yep, she's definitely in the wrong class, in the wrong grade, she's very advanced. So that was freshman year, academic wise. A total waste of time. Me and I, we only saw each other at lunch. Lunch was on the 1st floor. This is the biggest school that I'd ever been to. Other schools that we went to were extremely tiny. 8th grade year, we only had 8 girls in our class. It was the first time that I had to make my own friends, which was really different for me because I was just so used to me and my sister sharing friends. And outside of that, there were so many other firsts. The first time I saw a fight, the first time I've ever seen a packaged condom was on the ground at this school. A thong. Girls would wear like thongs and have it showing outside of their pants. Freshman year, yes, 13, 14. First time I ever seen students making out, teenage pregnant girls. First time I was ever called a bitch. It was so many firsts of things that I had already had like this preconceived idea of what public school was gonna be like, and it was like, you know what? Maybe I wasn't wrong. And it was the first time that I was subjected to no microwave during lunchtime. So all the leftovers and cooked meals that my mom would make me, and I would just bring my lunch kit and, you know, warm it up. No, you had to either pack a cold lunch or get the hot lunch from school. What I'm getting at is it was a lot to adapt to. How would you describe it? Like it was a whole nother planet. It felt like being thrown into a world that you didn't know what to expect, and you only have an idea of what it was like, and then you get tossed into it, and it was kind of like that, but then it was kind of like totally different. Yeah. And it was my first time doing a block schedule. So basically a regular schedule is every 50 minutes you change classes, so you have about 7 classes and then lunchtime. But this was a block schedule, so every single class was an hour and 30 minutes except for lunch, which was just 30 minutes. Now I'm falling asleep in class a lot because this is my first time I've ever had to be in a single class for an hour and 30 minutes. I was dying. But honestly, my sister and I became, I don't want to say like popular, but our lunch table, people would consider, oh, like that's the twins table, because so many people would come and sit by us at lunchtime. So that was nice. We joined the track team, we joined the step team, which is like, you know, where you like stomp and clap, and I joined the drama club. We were behind the scenes, we weren't doing any of the acting. That's how I made majority of my friends. So outside of that, I had even gained attention of like a lot of teachers, and I ended up winning the principal's award freshman year. Like how I got that, I don't know. I guess I was really friendly, I was pretty quiet, I was super smart, killing the game. This was the first time that I actually went to a school with a decent amount of boys. 5th grade we had 3 boys in our class, and then 6th and 7th grade we had 2 boys in our our class. The boys that I was used to being in class with had become like family to me. It would be weird to have a crush on them. This is my first time getting like a lot of male attention. So this is the only high school in the parish, and then there's like multiple middle schools. So pretty much everybody knew each other, whether it was from little dances, side cops, lock-ins. But like I said, since I was from this little private school, I have super strict parents, I didn't know anybody. This was the first time that guys would ask me for my number, go out of their way to like talk to me. But I came from a very strict school. Boys and girls weren't even allowed to hug each other, so I wasn't really interested. I was just like, thanks, but no thanks. Not to be like, I'm that bitch, but every week a new guy was trying to get with me or ask me for my number or get someone to talk to me for them. So side note, since I'm popping in, since I forgot to mention this, freshman year when we did track, they had this guy and he would literally harass me and I all the time. Would not leave us alone, begging us for our numbers or to talk to him. He would always find a way to like touch us, and he was a senior and we were freshmen. Every single day it was like, what is he gonna say or do now? He just gave me like he's doing the most. One girl must have boosted his little ego and he just ran with it. I remember the first time I was ever called a bitch. I was like sharpening my pencil at the back table, so my back's like to the class, and he came behind me and he grabs my waist, hugs me, and like leans his head on my shoulder. And I remember just freaking out. I was like, get your hands off me. Who gave you the okay to touch me? That's not okay. We don't know each other like that. And he was like, bitch. And I was just like, coming down. It was not the first time I've ever experienced bullying, because I did get kind of bullied in middle school, but it was the first time that I'd ever experienced colorism. And if you don't know what colorism is, it's basically when people from the same ethnic background or race put people down based on the tone of their skin. All my life I've gone to predominantly white schools, so much so that in one of my elementary schools, my sister and I were like the only fully black girls elementary students in the entire school. We've grown up around predominantly white people, white neighborhoods. Coming to this school was super diverse, and it was my first time ever going to a school with so many people like me, black people. I experienced colorism. Girls would tell me that I talk white, I act white, I think I'm all that, you really think you're somebody, you really think you're something. They would just always have these snarky, negative, mean, nasty comments to tell me just based on how I talked, or you know, like me being smart. On my bus one time, a girl 2 years above me, so she's a junior, yanks my hair on the bus. My head like goes back like this, so I turn around and she's like, oh, I just wanted to see if it was real. So that was a little difficult. Thank God for my mom, because she had always taught me that haters are going to be everywhere. People are going to not like you for no reason. People are going to see the way that you carry yourself and get jealous of that, but you know, basically just keep your head up and keep moving, because this is only the beginning. So that was like the start of me building my confidence, like, you know what, I am that bitch. Like, that's why y'all hating. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So anyway, at the end of freshman year, my mom did agree to drive us to school every morning, so we didn't have to ride the bus anymore. The next year was sophomore year, and honestly it's pretty much a blur. I don't really remember sophomore year at all. I stopped doing track. Coming from the highness of freshman year, like I'm that bitch, I'm that girl, it was the first time ever that I kind of went through this whole identity crisis. I remember I was starting to hate the way I look. I thought I was fat. Mind you, sophomore year I was probably 90 pounds. I thought I was unattractive. Me and my sister started our natural hair journey, where we started transitioning, so I thought my hair was really ugly, and I just was not happy with myself whatsoever. I remember I used to count calories. I used to have all these K-pop models all over everything as my body inspiration. I also remember wanting to be lighter. I just hated my skin tone. It was a rough time for me mentally. I remember just writing in my journal heavily about how unattractive I thought I was, which is so sad. But obviously I couldn't go to my mom and be like, hey mom, I think I'm too dark, because she would be like, are you dumb? You're gorgeous. I would mix lemon juice and put it with salt, and I tried to like rub it all over my body, and I would buy different exfoliators to try to like lighten my skin. Oh my gosh, like thinking about that is so sad. And I never saw a difference. I really used to have all these apps that was like work out this long and eat very little calories, and I was like subjecting myself to a stupid amount of calories. Going back to school, because of this, I was super quiet, and that's when I got into reading more. So I've always been a reader thanks to my dad. I wanted to live vicariously through someone else, so I became really big on teen fiction, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, The Clique, and my all-time favorite, Drama High. It's about a black girl, and she has voodoo lineage from New Orleans. She's a high schooler. She talks about all the things that I was going through, and I related to her character so much. I absolutely loved her. I would go home and I would just read chapter after chapter after chapter. I love this series, and honestly, reading her series helped me to build my confidence back. It helped me to feel beautiful again, more positive in myself, feel like I'm not alone in the situation. I was so confident that I decided to try out for the dance team. Now, I didn't make it. We do have rumors that our school's dance team is racist. They don't allow any people of color to be on the dance team. To give you guys a perspective, my dad went to the high school. Since the school's been open, no person of color has been on the dance team. And there's about 30 to 35 girls, I believe, that are on the dance team. So yeah, in a super diverse school, when no one on the dance team is black or of color, a little questionable. And especially with my dance experience background, the co-captain of the team came up to me and was like, "You're 10 out of 10 gonna make it." And besides messing up 2 kicks, I killed that routine. I just know it wasn't for me. Already I can tell before even joining the team, the girls were really not my vibe. Honestly, it was a blessing in disguise, because after uplifting myself, I really didn't need to be surrounded by so much negativity. But it would have been cool if I would have joined the dance team, because Mia actually joined the cheerleading team, and so if I was a dancer and she was a cheerleader and we were like twins, that would have been like so cool. So I decided to finish the rest of my makeup off camera so you guys wouldn't be distracted. Actually, I do need to apply mascara. You know those girls in school who always bought their paddle brush or white girl brush and like brush their hair every period? Because same. I forgot to mention that one of my closest friends at the time, Mariah, this was like my first time having my own best friend, but we had like an on and off kind of friendship right now, so that also added to me feeling down about myself. Throughout feeling this way through sophomore year of high school, I honestly was like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna get better. Is this what it feels like to be a teen? But spring of 2013, I had met the guy of my dreams. Yeah, so now moving into junior year, I had made a total 180, 360, 180, however you say it. I become super confident because I'd managed to get the attention of the guy that I literally had dreamed about, wrote about in my diary, my journal for years, and we were actually talking. That boosted my confidence by like a bazillion percent, and my natural hair started flourishing. I was killing it with grades. I joined the dance team outside of my school, so I become super athletic again. Y'all, I was just on cloud 9. Everything I had felt the year before, I totally didn't know who she was. I had made so much progress. As I mentioned before, for 9th grade year, we didn't ride the bus anymore in the morning because my mom would bring us, but because we got out of school at 2:30, we had to catch the bus home. But because I was texting this newfound love of mine, it didn't even matter. It's literally all I focused on. I was just like, I cannot believe this is happening to me. This is all I care about. I would go out of my way to like hang out with him. I would even have friends say that I was studying with him, and then I would go hang out with him. This is like, oh my gosh, is this what it feels like to be a teenager? I didn't go to parties in high school outside of my parents being really strict, but I did start attending a lot of football games because Mia was on the cheerleading team, and it was the best place that I could hang out with my boyfriend. I knew my mom and dad weren't going to be there because they didn't want me dating him, and so I would use the football games to like hang out with him and watch my sister cheer, because honestly I don't like football. I did learn how to drive junior year. As far as academic wise, I remember loving my math class. Shout out to my teacher, Miss Becknell. She was so funny. She was so bougie and like high maintenance, and she had like this kind of valley girl voice to her, but she was absolutely amazing, and she made me really like math coming from 10th grade where I hated geography. Sophomore year, geometry, yeah. Geography, absolutely hated it. The only thing I liked sophomore year was health class. Our teacher was so laid back. There's a TikTok that describes the best health teacher, where they let you pretty much get away and do anything that you want. That was our health class. Junior year, I absolutely hated US history. My teacher was sweet. She was a little jittery.
A little.
Yeah. Y'all, she was like, okay. The only thing, obviously, that I would find interesting about US history is civil rights. Other than that, it was pretty cool. I made a lot of new friends. I do remember we stopped sitting in the lunchroom for lunch, and we would sit on the football bleachers. I'm sorry, y'all. I wasn't like really popular and popping and like doing things at the school. Honestly, I didn't really care. So senior year was by far the craziest year of my high school life. Luckily, I was doing really good academically because I had so many problems going on at home. I really didn't care to focus on school at all. There's only a couple of things that I remember genuinely putting my all into, and that was my art class. Shout out to my art teacher, Mr. Loria. He made me realize my love for art and creativity. We had this project in my biology AP class where we had to have like this little beta fish. Loved that project. I loved world history, and my teacher, Miss Deer, was the absolute best. I was definitely one of her favorites in that class. Shout out to Bailey, who loved her too. I hated US history, but world history was literally a whole nother ball game. We did have to take a language class, and at my my school, they offered Latin. I had taken Spanish from 3rd grade to 8th grade. I was like, I want something new. That's where my whole obsession with Latin came from. I did take Latin all 4 years of college. That was the start, high school, thanks to my teacher, Miss Joya. She was really fun, a little odd, but she was super fun. That was it. To tell you guys the truth, in one of my English classes, I would literally write a different date on the same paper. The teacher would come around and he would just like peep to see, oh, you did it. So he wasn't really looking. I would switch between like 5 pieces of paper because I was not doing any of my work. I was so not focused on school, but I'm so glad I had the chemistry teacher that I did, because this specific chemistry teacher, she would let you get away with anything. Like, we cheated on every single test. We would have our books up and we just have our phones behind it, and she was like, that's such a great idea, so like nobody looks at your paper. I gave no shits about school. I was miserable at home. The only reason that I enjoyed coming to school was to escape home life. Despite the absolute shit show my home life was, I managed to get my first job, and Mia and I got a car. For the first time ever, we were no longer riding the bus to or from school. So you know, you can wake up later, you can leave a little bit later, you can leave right after school, you don't have to wait for the bus. You officially feel like, I'm that bitch. I had a car, Mia had a car, and we would kind of just flip-flop with who's driving to school that day. Sorry if the light keeps going in or out. This was the first year that I actually thought and cared about going to any of the school events. So I did end up going to homecoming. I was still going out with the guy of my dreams, and it was so sweet. While we're dancing, he's like, oh, come in the middle of the floor, and I'm like, nobody's over there. Why would we dance in the middle of the floor? He's like, just come. He wrote me a song and played it at the school. People were crowded around us. It was so nice. At the time, I was like really shy and nervous and like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. But once Monday came, so many people were talking about it. I was just like, you really did that. That was me. In addition to going to homecoming, I ended up going to prom, and I convinced Mia to come to prom with me. It was really nice. It was really fun. Despite my parents telling me not to go with my date, which is a whole nother story time in itself, I would 10 out of 10 relive that night the same way again. Because I used to be the type of person that it's like, I really don't care about school events, but I'm glad I actually did get like 1 year of experience, because I could at least say like I've done it. It actually ended up being like one of the best nights of my high school life. Moving along, I ended up graduating. Our graduating class was 400 people, 12th grade year. I was number 34 and Mia was number 35, which is really weird because it's like either we were just equally smart or they kind of set that up.
And out of a couple scholarships.
Yeah, we were for sure scammed out of a couple scholarships. We only got one. The top 50 students would get a top 50 scholarship, and we didn't get that scholarship strictly because we got the other scholarship. And I'm like, so technically me and I should have gotten 2 scholarships when we really only got 1. It was stupid. And I think that's pretty much it. Graduation was pretty short. I remember walking across the stage like, don't fall. And then like when I made it halfway there, I was like, but you got this. Overall, my high school experience was pretty fun. It could have gone better. If I could do it all over again, I probably would have stayed a part of the track team. As far as school goes, I wish I would have cared like a tad bit more. I got like a 3.97 something, but I really wish that I would have pushed even harder and got a 4.0. As far as friends, I really wish I would have cared more about other people's feelings. Everything was about me. I feel like most teenagers, all you're thinking about is yourself, and it's the first time you're going through all these different things. But besides that, I really enjoyed my overall high school experience. Knowing what you know from high school, do you think you would have wanted to go to a private school?
Hard to say.
I know. That's how I feel too.
Probably
like
not, because I wanted to be surrounded by boys.
Yeah, a little bit of testosterone. It just opened up a variety of people. There were more boys, ethnic groups, there was more
boys.
boys. And I didn't go to any parties in high school. My boyfriend was a lot older, so any of the parties I would go to, I would just go hang out with him and his friend. Of course, with every high school, there's gonna be high school drama and cattiness. Me and we didn't really talk to people, so when we heard our name in drama or when we heard somebody say something about it, it's just like, bitch, I don't even know you. I don't even talk to you. So that did happen like a couple of times. Of course, I'm gonna be right there, you know, with my sister, like, who said something? We also had an academic pep rally. You would watch these shows and performances. The overall goal was to win this torch staff thingy that had like the school emblem on it with the mascot. Senior year was our last year that we were like, we have to beat all the other classes. You would cheer the loudest, you would yell, you would stomp your feet, try to make the most noise within the gym compared to all the rest of the grades. My class had not won any of the years, so senior year was our final year to try and shine, and we lost to the freshmen. We were the only class ever to never win any year. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me rant about my high school experience and me doing my makeup. Let me know if you enjoyed or absolutely hated your high school experience. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
She be moving so quick, you never see her coming. She wants to wonder. She had me here.